What is up guys, my name is Elliot Duran and I'd like to welcome you to another video in our advanced splitting series. Today we're going to be talking about arguably the most popular bass drumming rudiment of all, the hand-to-hand. Without further ado, let's get right into it. At the time that I'm making this video, the hand-to-hand is by far and away the most widely known piece of splitting vocabulary. The earliest I found them to exist is in this Blue Devils bass INE from 2002, but they really blew up in popularity after this moment in Rhythmic's 2013 show. Since that moment, they've become a skill that must exist in any serious bass drummer's arsenal. Show up to any audition, and it's very likely that you'll need to be able to play both the downbeats and upbeats to a hand-to-hand with another person as part of your evaluation. With that in mind, let's get into all the ways that you can prepare yourself to play this rudiment. I'll begin by briefly going through what a hand-to-hand is for anyone who might not be familiar with the term. We're going to base this example off of triplets, but keep in mind that a hand-to-hand can be based on any subdivision of a beat and can be held out for any number of counts. We'll kick this off by setting up the part of the person that will be playing the downbeats, and that involves nothing more than putting 4 beats of triplets in a bar. Now let's add in the characteristic that lends the hand-to-hand its name. While in a traditional 6-doublet you'd expect to play the entire bar in one hand, the partials of a hand-to-hand split are to be played with natural sticking. This means that the hand striking the drum alternates with every partial of the triplets that we play. That completes the downbeat passage. All we need to do to add in the upbeats is copy the downbeat passage and paste it back into the bar while shifting it over by 1 6-doublet partial. And that's it, we've now written out a complete bar of triplet-based hand-to-hands. Now that we're all on the same page about what the rudiment actually is, we can go on to learning how to split it. As always, before we can work on the upbeat passage, it's vital that we first make sure that both players can play the downbeats with great rhythmic accuracy as well as matching interpretation with regards to heights and velocity. A great way to work on this is to develop a very basic primer that you can either work on alone or with the person that you're splitting with. When working triplet bass splits, the most common breakdown involves a bar of downbeat accented triplets into the passage that you're trying to work, which in our case is the hand-to-hand. Before playing this one for you, I strongly recommend that you first work on this basic primer independently to work out any kinks in your own rhythms. Once you're comfortable on your own, move on to playing this with your splitting partner in order to make sure that you're both on the same page when it comes to rhythms, heights, and velocity. If you're only trying to make sure you can play the upbeats to this rudiment really well, you might be wondering why it's even necessary for you to be great at the downbeats. It all boils down to the fact that the upbeat passage really is just a copy-pasted version of the downbeats. The person splitting the part still plays that same part, just offset by a very small amount. To put this into context, if you can build great muscle memory for playing rhythmically accurate triplets with a relaxed approach, all you need to worry about when it comes to splitting the hand-to-hand is creating the spacing of that very first upbeat. From there, the muscle memory will kick in and allow you to drive through the rest of your passage without opening or closing up the rhythms. So once you feel comfortable with your and your partner's interpretation of the downbeats, we can start to build up the upbeat passage. This next primer will help you work on exactly that. It involves a bar of check played in unison, then player 1 goes on to play the full bar of their downbeat passage while player 2 only plays their first upbeat note. If you're player 2, focus on inserting your note exactly in the space created by the first 2 triplet partials that player 1 plays. Additionally, ensure that you're attacking your first note with as relaxed and open of a prep as you can in order to set the approach that the rest of your upbeats will eventually follow. This primer should sound like this. Once player 2 is very comfortable with placing their first upbeat, it's time to put it all together. At this point, player 1 should have a lot of practice playing 4 beats of triplets perfectly in time and with a relaxed approach. Player 2 should be able to use the spacing learned from the second primer shown to place their first upbeat, and then rely on the muscle memory they gained from playing through the downbeat passage to drive them through the rest of the upbeats without changing the spacing or approach within the bar. Once all is said and done, the completed hand-to-hand will now sound like this. Let's go over some things to keep in mind while you rehearse this rudiment. First, if you're the person on the upbeats, try not to think so hard about placing every single individual note within the space of your partner's notes. Hand-to-hands are usually played relatively fast, and your brain will not be able to keep up with trying to place every individual note. This will usually result in the upbeats getting steadily slower and more late as the passage progresses. Instead of working so hard, simply focus on creating the first spacing and then maintain good rhythmic interpretation of the subdivision you're playing. It follows that if you're creating good rhythms and your partner is creating good rhythms, together you should theoretically play a perfect hand-to-hand. Second, realize that the touch that both players attack the drum with is very influential on the sound quality of your hand-to-hand. The thought of splitting alternating partials perfectly makes this a daunting rudiment to play, and as a result, players tend to create unnecessary tension in the wrists, forcing them to rely only on the arms to get sound out of their drum. As we've talked about before, too much tension in the wrists and an over-reliance on the arms causes your sound quality to become very harsh and thin. Contrarily, a great full-bodied hand-to-hand is a result of both players attacking the exact same way in an attempt to get as much sound out of every single partial. So whether you're on the downbeats or the upbeats, try to maintain a relaxed approach, putting a lot of velocity into every partial without squeezing unnecessarily on the mallet. And that's all for this lesson. If you enjoy these videos and want to see more, please give this one a like and consider subscribing. We're all about empowering the bass drum community, so we also encourage you to share this video with anyone who you feel could benefit from this information. It would also mean the world to us if you would check out our website bassdrumgroup.com, where you can grab free sheet music and check out some of our awesome apparel. Any purchases you make help us create better and high quality instructional videos for you all and are incredibly appreciated. And with that guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.